Welcome back to the channel, Rob Sandstrom Designs. I'm getting ready to do a series of videos where I demonstrate how I designed and carved and aligned a cookie sign that I did back in December. Some of you may have seen that on my Instagrams or on a couple shorts on my YouTube video where I showed surfacing of that cookie. So I'm going to now put together a series of videos where I go through the process of, after purchasing the cookie, making sure that I could get it to the point where I could actually carve on it and then do the carving. First video on that is going to discuss how I find the center of that cookie, since it's such an oblong shape. If you don't know what I'm talking about with the cookie, I'll try to put something through the magic of video editing, a picture up here in the corner or over here, one place or the other. We'll see where it ends up. So the first one is this video, which is finding the center of that cookie. After I put this video together, then I will go ahead and put a video together that shows how I mounted that cookie on a sled so that I could take it on and off the CNC as I needed to carve it and put in the various colors. The video after that will focus more on the alignment. So I'm going to do a video on how I actually designed the cookie and how I took the shape of the cookie from a picture into VCarve Pro. From that picture, I will design the sign on the cookie based on what the client gave me they wanted. Once I do that, I've got to align that design on the actual cookie so that it will carve exactly where I want it. So I'll go through that alignment process, and then I'll go through the carving process. So I see anywhere from 4 to 6 videos in this series, trying not to make one great big long one that turns into a yawner. So I hope you enjoy the series. And if you're interested in seeing the full series, if you haven't subscribed yet, it'd probably be a good idea to subscribe and hit that bell so that you get notified when I release these videos. With that, I hope you enjoy the video and pick up a thing or two. I will mention right up front that the methodology for actually finding the center of this cookie was something that I had to search around for. I had ideas, but I wasn't quite sure how I was going to do it. So what I did a YouTube search, and I found a YouTube video that was on how a gentleman found the center of an oval, and my cookie was somewhat an oval. So I used his methodology and it turned out awesome. And I'll link his video in the description, and I'll also put a card up here so that you can click on that to go see his video. Worth watching. Thank you. Hope you enjoy the video. What I'm getting ready to do here is I'm trying to carve a sign on this cookie. And you can see it's very irregular. Now the next step is to line it up so I know where center is, and so that when I take it on and off the CNC, I can always put it in the exact same location. Because just a millimeter difference will mess up the carving, because there's going to be 2 or 3 colors that I carve into this sign. So the first thing I have to do is find the center, mount it on the board, make it so the board can go on and off the CNC in a precise manner. And then once I have it all mounted on the board and everything, then I got to take the time to actually surface this so it's perfectly flat for the carving. So what you're going to see me doing right now is experimenting with trying to find the center based on what I saw in another YouTube video that looked like a good idea. So the concept is I'm going to take this paper, I'm going to lay it down on the flat surface. I'm going to lay this on top of it. I'm going to trace it with a pencil so that it matches this profile, and then I'll fold it a couple times. So let's get started. What I do know is this is the top side of the cookie. We have the top of my CNC. This is the bottom side, and I want the round section to be, this part here is what I'm focusing on because that's what I'll be carving to. Somewhere around in that area. Of course, that's not completely critical that it's totally square yet, because I'll square that up later. So now I'm going to take and all I'm doing is tracing the face of this shape. So now that I've got the face of this shape traced, I'm going to go ahead and cut that cut that circle out. Now what I saw on YouTube, the gentleman was actually cutting an oblong, and this is pretty close to an oblong, or as close as it's going to get. So I'm hoping this trick works as well as his did. As big as this sign is, we had some wiggle room, and I will definitely test it before I start cutting, but I want to get as close as possible to begin with of the center location, because I'm going to base everything off a center XY position. Okay, now I have the shape of the cookie cut out. The way I'm going to do this is, this was the top and this was the bottom. I'm going to first take the top and bottom, and they're not completely evenly round, but the part I care about the most is this part down here on the bottom. So I'm hoping this works. So then I'm going to fold this in half. Now you can see the challenge is that the cookie itself comes in and then has an odd shape coming out here. So it's not completely even. So I'm going to now lay this on the cookie for a second. That's about where the center mark was when I was trying to rough measure it with a straight line. And now I'm going to fold it over this way. The way the guy actually did it was he cut a little hole right here in the corner. Wants to keep popping up on me. All right, now let's see where that mark is if I try to measure it from side to side. So on there, I'm 11 and a half roughly. 11 and a half roughly, pretty darn close. And from the bottom, I'm 12 and a half. 12 and a half, up to 11 and a half. A little more than 12 and a half, and that bulges out there, so I'd expect that. To 11 and a half. So 12 and a half. 12 and a half. That looks like it'll do it. It looks like this is going to be the center I'm going to use, so I'm going to mark that with a white pencil. And when I make my carves, I'm going to make sure that this is the center that I Z off of. My XY is going to come off right here, and that's where I'm going to Z on. Let's make sure I can actually see that when I lift the paper. Yes, I can. So I'm marking that so it's easy for me to see. Well, that's the video. I hope you got something useful out of that video. The methodology for finding center I thought was kind of unique and thought it would be worth sharing. That can be used in several different odd shapes if you're not quite sure how to find the center. So I thought it would be useful to share and show you how I actually did it on this cookie. Well, this is the first of a series of videos, as I said, on how I designed the cookie. Again, here's the cookie up here, and in the end we'll get you to the point where we've got that fully designed and poured with epoxy. If you liked what you're seeing, please give me a like, and if you think others would enjoy it, share the video. And if you like it and you are learning things, please subscribe to the video, especially if you want to see the other videos where I talk about how I mount this cookie to the sled, how I actually align the cookie on the CNC so the design happens in the right location, and how I actually go about pouring the epoxy. All of those will be future videos in the next couple weeks as I roll them out. Until we meet again on this channel, I hope life is treating you well, or at least if not, you're making, what do they say, lemonade out of lemons. Appreciate your patronage, and look forward to seeing you again.